welcome to the couch. We're joined here today by Elizabeth Anile, who's a mother to Oliver and blogger of Bambi and Baby, and absolutely thrilled to have her here. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, no, we're thrilled. So let's start with, your career journey. Tell us briefly about your background and career.
Right, so I went to university and trained to be a journalist, and that's always what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be a TV journalist. I initially started my career in print and worked at a magazine and worked briefly at The Age and those kinds of things before I decided, no, I want to do TV. So I, you have to go regional basically if you want to be a TV journalist. So I spent a little bit of my career out in Bendigo, which was pretty cool. Which is just nice for something different. After growing up in Melbourne my whole life, it's kind of nice for that change of pace. And then I got a job in Hobart with Win, which was awesome and I loved, and I was there for almost 2 years and I learnt so much, so much. But I did want to come home and back to Melbourne, so I actually quit there and just hoped the universe would play catch up with me because I wanted to come home to my friend's family and my fiance at the time. And funnily enough, things can fall into place when you take the right step. And when I sailed back in on the Spirit, within that week I got offered shifts at Channel 7 producing. It didn't take long for them to realise I wasn't really the best producer, that I was a much better reporter, which is good because that is what I wanted to do. So whenever there would be a spare story, they would be like, oh, Elizabeth, you go do it. You go out on the road, which was great. And I was like, yes. And and then I just started getting offered a lot more reporting shifts. And I was like, great, I've achieved it. I'm a TV reporter in Melbourne. This is my dream and I'm here.
Awesome. And then saw the 2 lines on the stick.
Yes.
And found out you were pregnant.
So yes, so basically I did my first reporting shift on New Year's Day.
Your first one in Melbourne?
Yes, in Melbourne, sorry. Yes, my first Channel 7 Melbourne reporting shift on New Year's Day. The next day I found out I was pregnant. So it was just, I'd only moved back to Melbourne a month earlier and then did my first reporting shift, then found I was pregnant. It was just like, what is going on?
How did you feel, knowing that you had just reached probably what you would have called your dream job?
It was absolutely 100% my dream job. I just thought this can't be happening. No, this is supposed to come later.
Yeah.
Like I'm not ready for this. So it did throw things a lot for me. It did change everything for me. And then, as anyone will know, battling the first trimester and then trying to impress at a new job.
Oh my God.
Because you're still trying to impress, and I was casual. So I wanted to be the next in line for a full-time job, and here I am like sitting at my desk, like not being able to eat all day and falling asleep in the car on the way to jobs because I was so exhausted. When I should have been, on the phone and calling a million sources, but I was.
Like, when did you tell them you were pregnant?
They were pretty good actually, because I was casual, and it's a pretty good working environment. I think I was 13 weeks.
Okay.
I was pretty nervous. I was really quite nervous. Yeah, to tell them.
I think everyone is.
Yeah, I was really nervous, and especially because I was casual. They could have so easily just turned around, and which they wouldn't have been allowed to do, but said to me, well, actually they would have, because I was casual, and said, okay, thanks, see you. So I was a bit nervous of that. You never know what kind of attitudes can come into play with things like being pregnant and working, but they were actually really good.
They can either be like, we're really happy for you, or, oh shit, here we go again.
Well, I do think, and it's not their fault, I don't blame them, I do, sadly, becoming pregnant, if there was a job that came up, I'm not sure how likely I would have been to get that next job once they found out I was pregnant.
Which is sad.
Which is really sad, because they would have invested it in me and then had to pay me to go on maternity leave. And that's sadly the reality, really. And I don't know that for a fact, and they were always wonderful to me, so I definitely wouldn't want to talk them down in any way, but I don't know what would have happened. I imagine I probably wouldn't have been the ideal candidate being pregnant.
And in terms of then up until you had Oliver, which, you had Oliver 6 weeks
He
early.
was 6 weeks early, yep, thanks babe.
How did you manage your career up until that point?
So I was working at Channel 7, so they were good. So I just kept getting shifts. They weren't too phased or bothered at all. So I was still there. But when I was pregnant, everything shifted. So all of a sudden, this career woman that dropped everything for sake of a good story was all of a sudden not feeling that inspired in her dream job. So I was really quite difficult to do, because I thought I don't know what it was. I wanted to be more settled being pregnant, not so much as a reporter. You're getting thrown out, you're down at lawn one day and you don't have a chance to eat because you're so busy, and then you're getting sent out here at a 6 a.m. shift. And it was hard being pregnant and doing that. So I did it, I kept there, and then my then fiance and I went up to Byron Bay for a month, and I just picked up a lot of copywriting work and did the writing for his business and things like that, which I found, although that's not what I wanted to do, it was a really good balance for that time, and it's what I kind of needed to do mentally as well and physically, because it was hard on my body, not going out all day and not eating, and you've got a baby in you. So that was a really good balance. So I actually then kept up some copywriting and doing that. So then I had, I was making my own income, and then I submitted my last piece, and that night Oliver was born. So I never really had a phase in.
No, you didn't get the send off, the flowers,
no.
the mat leave of watching Netflix.
No, setting up the nursery. Oliver was born and the entire nursery was in boxes.
Oh,
the
good.
car seat, the car seat wasn't in the car. I went to the hospital with pretty much what I'm wearing now in a handbag.
Oh my God.
And
welcome to motherhood.
Yeah, and I thought they'd just send me home, and then my waters broke, and it was like, okay, I'm not going home. And I remember the midwife actually said to me, "Oh, you don't have spare underwear with you?" And I was like, "No, I didn't know I was having a baby tonight." Like, my mum was, then rushing around and getting all things and brought it all to the hospital, because I hadn't even had my hospital bag packed.
Oh my God.
So I was like, well, no, I don't have underwear. I don't just carry them in my bag. Anyway, that was an experience.
How did you feel about your career? Once he came into the world, did you start to think differently?
I did, yes. And, you feel ashamed to admit it, I guess. I didn't feel as ambitious for that in that early time. But, the career woman who moved to anywhere at the drop of the hat for the sake of a good job and would give up social engagements for the sake of a good story was all of a sudden not feeling ambitious and inspired anymore. I was surprised he had come 6 weeks early, firstly. And secondly, it was a lot to adjust for me. None of my friends have babies. It was just a lot to adjust to being a new mum, and I just wanted to do that. I just wanted to really nail it. I knew I'd go back to work eventually, but at that time, I just wanted to do that.
Be a mum.
Yeah.
And they change you.
They
Those
do.
are the ones
They
that change
do.
you.
And it changed that, and I started thinking, I don't know if I ever want to go back to TV journalism. That was my dream. But I don't think that's my path anymore. And I couldn't explain why. And when everyone would say, are you going to go and contact Channel 7 now? Or I'd think, no, I really don't want to, and I don't know why.
So tell us then, how did you get to Bambi and Baby?
Okay, so I knew I didn't want to go back to TV journalism, but I was under a bit of pressure, like, I've really got to start using my brain, because it was starting to turn to mush. And, I don't know, being a career person, you do have to use it. You can't just, felt that I was getting stagnant in my position of I loved being a mum, but I also needed to do something for myself. So that was kind of happening, but I wasn't really doing anything. I can kind of coast along a little bit, and that's what I was doing. And then 4.5 months ago, I discovered something that changed my world forever, and my fiance and I parted ways. I went to bed as part of a family, and I woke up the next morning as a single mum. So that was just picking up my world, turning it upside down, putting it on the floor and stomping on it in the space of a couple of hours.
I can't even imagine what
It
that was
was,
like.
it was just, I still struggle to describe it. It was unbelievable, and everything I knew had been turned upside down.
And how old was Oliver at the time?
He was 8 months old. It was a couple of weeks shy of my birthday, which was hard as well. And so everything changed in that moment. And I'd always wanted to start a blog. I always wanted to start a mum blog, and just another mummy blogger. But I thought, I am a writer and a journalist. Hopefully, I've got that edge that I can make, write engaging content, because I, come from that background. But then this happened, and I remember thinking, and I was distraught.
Oh.
And I remember thinking, there's this little voice inside me that said, okay, you have to use this. You have to use this. This is what you've got to do. Like, I'm a big believer everything happens for a reason. So I was like, you have to use this. This was supposed to happen. And obviously, so then I started writing in those very early stages, and there's some of my early posts when I was just a mess. I don't even hardly remember that time because I don't know where my brain was, but I just kept writing what I was going through. Well, probably
they're raw and they're real.
It's probably because it was right then and there exactly what I was experiencing. If I tried to write that now, I probably couldn't because I can't remember a lot of it. So then I just started writing those posts, and then it got to a few months later, and I thought, I kept putting it off the launch, putting it off, and my beautiful best friend actually creates websites. So not only is she a model and incredible and successful, she can also create websites. Wow. So she did that for me. And then one week I just said, that's it, I just have to launch it. I'm always going to find something that I don't like, or something that has to be changed, or something more to do. I just have to do it. And I did it, and I just launched it one night, and I was so nervous to press that button on Facebook saying, hey everyone, it's live. And I did, and then I just sat back and I didn't really get any likes for the first minute or two, and I was like, oh my God, what have I done? And then it went just nuts, and within 2 days it was then on Mamma Mia, and then, and then everything just went crazy, and the women that reached out to me has made it all worth it, that have emailed me, messaged me, told me their own stories, reached out for support and advice. I'm like, my God, I'm still sorting through my own life, and now I'm giving other people advice, which is just, it is amazing. And hearing from women that are further down this healing journey that are okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. Maybe this is what you meant to do.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I love that you say, you were sitting there and you were scared to press that send button, because a lot of women, I think, when they're on parental leave, they come up with these great ideas, or they, think about a career change, but they're too scared to actually do it. And sometimes it just takes that bit of courage to go, I'm just going to give it a go.
Yeah.
Just get out there.
You just have to. And I remember thinking, my best friend, she's created the website, she's quite spiritual, and she was just saying, you have to just do it. Come on, what are you scared of? What is the worst that's going to happen? And I thought, the worst that's going to happen is no one reads it. And is that really that bad? Not really. No. Just means I've got an online diary. It doesn't really matter.
So you're now a mum, a blogger, a single mum, which is adding another layer of complexity to kind of your life. What's life look like for you now?
It's still, I'm still 4.5 months on. It's still up and down. Some days I'm great, sometimes I'm not. It's still battling these kind of really intense feelings, emotions, while being a mum, while trying to run this blog, while trying to have a social life, while trying to juggle all these different things. So life every day is a bit different, which is good. Being a mum, I think I needed that to change it up. So right now I've got all these copywriting clients that have come through, which is great. That I could spend my time doing that. I try and write a post once a week. I try to do a lot with Oliver to make sure he's doing things. I don't want him just to be sitting around and watching me work. I want to take him to swimming lessons, take him to Gymbaroo. I try and do something new with him each week. And then it's just kind of working on myself in the meantime and healing myself, because I can't be the best mum to Oliver until I'm worked on myself and have evolved myself. So you never put yourself first as a mum ever, but it's also important for me to take care of myself, because that in turn impacts him in a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you deal with mother's guilt?
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. I deal with it when I, go out for a dinner with a friend and he's home with my mum. It hits me. I deal with it when I wake up in the morning and I feed him breakfast, and then I put him down with his toys, and I sit down on my laptop, and within 10 minutes he's tugging at my jumper and crying and throwing a tantrum because I took, the dog's toy out of his mouth or something like that. And then I think, my goodness, this is really difficult to juggle. This is really hard to keep him happy and feel like I'm being a good mum who's reading to him and, helping with his development, and answer these 14 emails that are all sitting here waiting, and that I need to answer because I need to make money, and I can't leave people waiting. And it's really difficult, and I'm still trying to find that balance, and I haven't quite struck it yet. But it's there all the time. And I've actually booked, which is amazing, a yoga retreat early October in New Zealand. I was just really drawn to it, and it was going back to that thing of you can't pour from an empty glass. I have to work on myself to be a good mum for Oliver. And I already feel guilty.
No.
Already feel guilty.
No.
I can imagine boarding that plane and thinking, should I just turn back?
You know what? You'll spend the whole time looking at photos.
Yeah, and it's 6 days, and that's the longest I will have ever been apart from him. So yeah, already feeling guilty. I think that's just sadly part and parcel of being a mum.
Absolutely. I don't think it'll ever leave. So what's your view of working mothers?
I think working mums, it's hard. I have to think about it for a second because it's hard. It's really hard, but at the same time, we're the reason the world keeps spinning, literally because we're having these babies, but also because we're providing examples of that you can do it all. You just have to juggle it, and you just have to make sure you have amazing support around you. And I really want to, especially because I have a boy, I really want to show him that women are strong, smart, capable, driven, determined, and can be successful. I really want to provide this example to him so he grows up as a man that is respectful of women and sees women as equals as well. And I won't be able to do that if I don't put myself second, or if I just rely on handouts, or I become lazy in any way. I have to show him from the time now, the age he is, how important it is to see me achieving things. And I really want him one day, the last few months have been really difficult, but I really want him one day to be really proud of me for what I've achieved and for doing it by myself as well.
Yeah, I think your answer is absolutely perfect. And it's the reason why I get up and go to work every day, and I'm creating Circle In because I want my two girls to feel the same. I think that's what all mothers want.
Them to feel proud and know that you had to sacrifice things, but it was for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what do you do to find me time? Other than going to New Zealand.
Yeah, which is just, so exciting. I haven't been overseas since, I was like 20 weeks pregnant, so I'm just really, really excited. So that's a big thing. I go to the gym, so I do F45, because I find that being active, active mind, active body, it's all good. So I do that. When Ollie's down for his nap, so I try and write, and I try and do things for myself. And then I also do a lot with my friends, and I probably am very lucky that my mum lives around the corner and can help me a lot. So, last night I got invited to this gin tasting event with matching food, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go. And Ollie was fine with mum, obviously, and I went with my friend, and it's a good thing to do. It's actually good for Oliver, for me to still feel like I've got other parts to myself.
Yeah. So talk to us about the importance of your mama tribe, because I'm assuming for you right now, it's really important.
Yeah, so I wrote a blog post about this. It was one of my favourite ones, actually. When I sat down and wrote it, the words just poured out of me, and I ended up writing about 1,500 words, probably in half an hour, because it was just all this that I realised was in the back of my mind. And my friends, from the moment everything happened with my ex, I messaged my friends at 4 a.m, to two of them that I was supposed to be heading down the coast with, and they obviously weren't awake. And at 7 a.m, the first texted me and said, I'm on my way, I'm coming now. And from that moment, it's makes me teary even thinking about it. From that moment, I was never alone, and they were the ones that were there for me and pretty much saw me on the ground at my very worst, at a time at a moment I never thought I would experience. And they didn't leave my side, and they cooked for me, and they cleaned for me, and they looked after Oliver, and they made sure that I was able to put one foot in front of another. They told me to nap. They told me to, they were there. And my mum was away, and I'm sure you've gathered through talking about this, my mum's my best friend, but she was away. So that was really difficult. And I didn't want to ruin her holiday, so I didn't tell her for about 4 days, which was just really hard. She's someone that knows everything. So they all stepped up, and they were just phenomenal. There was a schedule drafted to make sure I wasn't sleeping alone each night.
Oh my God. And
then I have to include as well in that who was supposed to be, I still consider her my mother-in-law. She was interstate, and I called her a hysterical, sobbing mess at 3 a.m, and she flew down the next day and didn't leave my side for a whole week. So she was there, and all my friends, and she stepped in where my mum couldn't physically be there, and she was the reason I was able to get through that period.
Yeah, your girlfriends are so important.
Yeah.
I think what's hard though is, as a mum, and as time goes on, it's hard to find time to catch up with your girlfriends. I was only talking to a friend yesterday that she was apologising, she hadn't called me in months. I'm like, it's okay.
You understand, yeah.
But it's when you reconnect with those close girlfriends, they're just everything.
And especially when you haven't seen a friend for a little while and then you see them and not much has changed. And you realise that's a good friend.
Yeah.
That is a really good friend. You don't need to speak to your friend every single day to know that they're there for you. And that is what happened. My friends all just, there was about 7 of them. They were actually were my bridesmaids. And they just, I was like, well, didn't I make the right decision? Because they were there and they all just swarmed and were there for me. So I guess lucky isn't the right term, but the fact that I am now a single mum, I have a lot of friends come over and visit me a lot. They're always there with me. So I probably do see my friends even more now than previously. So I'm lucky in that respect.
So it sounds like everything's starting to come together, and your blog is amazing. We've
thank
absolutely
you.
loved reading
Thank
your
you.
articles. And if you haven't read the letter to Oliver on his first birthday, you have to, but make sure you have a box of tissues because it had me in tears. So we're loving watching your journey. What tips do you have for women that are on parental leave and maybe thinking about their career or not knowing how to navigate it? What tips do you have for managing your career through parental leave?
I guess to try and keep your brain as busy and active as possible when you are on leave, and try and, I guess it's really difficult because I know Oliver's just turned 1 and I didn't find really until he turned 1 that I felt mentally ready to head back to work. But so a lot of women don't have that luxury, unfortunately. So I suppose it's going back to just remembering what we were saying, that you are doing it for them at the end of the day, relying on your support networks, and kind of, I guess, if you know you're going back to work at a certain date, get yourself ready in the months and weeks before. Slowly take those steps and not necessarily go and start working, straight away from home, but maybe head in one afternoon with baby, with your bub, and just chat to people and be, it's kind of like dipping your toe in the water instead of just plunging straight in. I guess that would be a good start.
And we've got an article, keep your toes in the water, don't disconnect.
Oh, there you go.
So there you go.
Yeah.
No, I think they're great tips. Well, thank you. We've loved having you on the couch.
Thank
and
you.
hearing about your journey, and we think you're a total inspiration
thank you.
to all working mothers,
that.
and you're doing an amazing job. And we've had a pretty rough few months, but I think the future is looking incredibly bright, and we can't wait to see where you go.
Oh, thank you. I'm really flattered to hear that. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.